Hi, everybody. It's Emmy with Astro. I am here with Chris Rock, our head of architectural sales here at Astro. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Emmy. Glad to be here.
Good. How's it going today?
Going okay. It's been a long day towards the end, so
Yeah.
just wrapping up the day.
Well, glad we could close up the day with a nice, relaxing conversation.
That's how this is.
So, tell us a little bit about your role here at Astro, kind of your background, how long you've been here, things like that.
Yeah, so I've been here, I think it's 11 years now. My role here
I think it's 13 years.
Is it 13?
Yeah.
It probably is because when we moved from Plymouth to this location and all that.
Yeah.
Role here, I do a lot of sales. I do interactions with a lot of our clients and architects, general contractors, project managers. Yeah, a whole lot of different contexts I spend some time with.
Yeah. So, I mean, on that same vein, can you walk us through kind of a little bit of your day to day?
Yeah, day to day, I help develop estimates and review some of those. I have conversations with architects when they call in, have design questions that they need to be walked through. Help our project management team work through challenges that they face throughout the day and schedules. So, yeah, that's a lot of what I do.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the team, how you interact with them.
Internal and external.
Internally, to start.
Okay. Internally, I guess I spend probably a good amount of my day with our front end sales and estimating because all the projects start with that at its core, right? So, well, other than the marketing team, everything starts with marketing. So I do spend some time with the marketing team here as well. And then it goes to sales / estimating and just check and develop processes on guiding how we're going to do those things. And then the sales activity starts, and then we got to sell the project and then bring it in and review contract. And then it moves on to project management.
Okay.
Project management is an integral part of what we do here at Astro. Without that, things probably wouldn't happen at the speed the customers would require it to.
Now, walk us through a little bit of who you're interacting with externally. I know that there's different people that you're talking to as far as architects, general contractors, other fabricators. Can you kind of dive into each one of those?
There are a variety of different contexts that we have. One that I like to start with is probably the design team, where it's got the architects. Those interactions are excellent. I just really love spending some time with those people. They got such creativities and imaginations on creating these wonderful pieces of art that we call buildings. And so being able to work with them on some of their creations and bring some of their ideas to life and convert that idea into something that's manufacturable and something that we can build is really exciting.
Yeah.
So they oftentimes will come with some ideas and concepts, and what we do is we help guide those concepts into the reality, I guess.
Sure.
So that I really enjoy, and then the other aspects of other contact that we get to talk with is like general contractors. And so oftentimes at that stage, they have a little bit more information on what they're going to want from us, and then it's just trying to decipher the scope and who's going to be picking up what on the project and connections and things of that nature.
So on the architect / designer vein, what are some common questions that architects come to you and ask?
Yeah, so some of it's revolving around like collaborative design, which is where they have an idea and concept in mind. And being a custom metal fabricator, we can pretty much take any concept and turn it into a fabricated product. So working through their ideas and what's reality and what we can do is really fun for me. And I guess that's one of the things that the architects ask a fair amount of is collaborative design.
Okay. So as far as collaborative design, when you're getting a request for a quote or an idea for a project, talk about the differences of how things kind of come in between a napkin sketch or a full-blown floor plans and drawings and everything like that.
Yeah. So the napkin sketches are kind of the funnest ones.
Okay.
Because it really allows us to bring our custom metal fabrication experience to the table and make some recommendations that they can incorporate into the drawing set. Also, we have a 3-part specs that we can offer. So that also helps guide the design team on the components that go into some of the fabrications that they might want. We also have models, like we've got SolidWorks, we've got AutoCAD, we've got Revit. So those are all things and tools that we can offer about our product that help guide that napkin to reality type drawing. Okay.
So that whole conceptualization of the napkin sketch, working together in the collaborative design, what is included? What is the cost for the collaborative design?
Right away, we offer a free, no obligation meeting. We can either have a Teams meeting, a WebEx type meeting. It can be as simple as a phone call. So we make that very low key right off the bat, and there's no pressure or anything like that. And so we just kind of walk through what the design team might have in mind.
Okay.
So we start there. As that conversation develops and we are able to offer some value there, the next step would be then to, if they want to take it to the next step, where we would actually create some of the design and draw some of the features and draw some of the connections, and even go as far as providing engineering. So if the conversation goes to that, we will then generate a quote and we'll supply a quote, and then they can choose to move forward with our consultation with the engineering and some drawings.
So expand a little bit on the engineering and what that means, what it, maybe what it costs, what does it mean to get something engineered and who actually does it?
Yeah, so when you get something engineered with Astro, what you're getting is our internal drafting department is creating sketches and like CAD drawings that you can get on PDF. And then what we do is we verify through a professional engineer that's licensed in the state of the project that the project's in.
Okay.
And they will go through and run through the calculations to verify that the design meets wind loads, any other fall protection loads that might be imposed onto the material, whether it's a guardrail or if it's a rain screen. Those calculations confirm that it will meet the standards that it needs to hold up to.
So then we talked about that end of the spectrum. Now let's go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, where you get a complete package and they send you everything and they say, find what you can do. Tell us what we need.
That's a fun one too, because it's almost finding the Easter egg and it's hidden. So we have to go through the construction documents. Construction documents include drawings. It includes specifications. Oftentimes, those are the two things that you have to go through. So the specifications, we will find ourselves in a specific division, oftentimes division 5, sometimes 10, sometimes 7. And then within those specifications, we find out what the scope of work could be.
Okay.
And so once you have that, then you can go to the construction documents, drawings. And oftentimes I start like in the detail section, or if there's a guardrail stair or anything like that, and then go back to the plan views, and you've got to go and find all of the Easter eggs in the set. We also utilize some software called Bluebeam, which helps us find and identify our scope easier. So we can do it through measurements, counts, highlighting, and then once we've done that, it's easier to convert to an estimate. And then if we get the job, then we use that information to hand down to the drafting department.
We work with architects and we work with contractors. How about working with other fabricators? How do we support the local fabrication market?
Yeah, that's one of our core competencies here, is we've got the ability to do a lot of the fabrication work that other fabricators may not have the equipment for to do themselves.
You have some examples of that?
Yeah, so an example of some of the things that we do internally very well are perforations. So sitting behind us is an example of some of the perforated metal that we do. Other things are, we have expertise in specialty metals. That includes like stainless steel and aluminum, and we get into some bronze as well. And so we've got staff that have this huge, like amazing skill set to do that type of welding. So a lot of fabricators rely on us for that type of expertise.
Sure.
Yep. And we also have CWI on staff, which is a certified welding inspector. Actually got 2. So that's also a core competency that we offer our fabricators.
Sure. and a bit of a competitive advantage in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any other competitive advantages you feel like Astro has?
We do have a whole shop of press brake, so we can do forming. We have the ability to do rolling. We have the ability to do tube laser, which is a really big asset for the company. And we can support a lot of the fabricators that way because it's a very expensive piece of equipment. The welding cells, like we had mentioned. We also have invested heavily in the advanced welding equipment. So not everyone's got the financial means or interest in procuring that kind of high-level welding equipment too.
Such as?
Well, the equipment used specifically is Fronius equipment for the welding. So that's a big advantage.
When we're corresponding with architects, general contractors, fabricators, the whole gamut, your clients, what are some of the pain points you experience interacting with people and throughout the sales process?
Yeah, some of the pinpoints that we experience is not all of the details are always fleshed out. And so part of what we offer and some of the services that we do is trying to flesh out that design a little bit more, and or guide the design team to a place where we can actually produce the product. Because sometimes the drawings that we receive aren't really fabricatable. So it's really just coaching back upstream what we're capable of, or what a fabricator is capable of.
Sure.
And go in that direction.
Another pain point that constantly comes up for many people is budgets and costs. How do you navigate in the sales process when you have your estimator come up with a cost for things? You present it to the client and they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought it would be this expensive, or oh, this sounds great. How do you deal with price shocks sometimes, or people saying, this is my budget, I need to fit it in here, how can we work together to do that?
Oftentimes understanding the scope and understanding the quality expectations. And so oftentimes what we find is our customers will overstate the quality expectations and possibly overstate the finish requirements and possibly overstate some of the grinding or welding requirements. So if there's a reaction of it being a little bit too high, we can work through those details and point out what are the cost drivers that are causing the pricing to be where it's at. And so when we do that, oftentimes we can eliminate or reduce some of those cost drivers. So working with the client is really important. We want to find an amicable solution that gets us both going in a forward direction. So it is important that we work through that.
I'm going to bring up one of the dreaded words in fabrication, value engineering. How do you handle when projects, you present a quote or an estimate and time goes by, you reach out to the customer again and they say, oh, we're going through value engineering. Can you explain what that means and how you kind of handle those situations?
Yeah, the way I understand value engineering and when it's brought up and why it's brought up, it's usually brought up after post-bid, or there's been all the numbers have been brought in and they're looking to save money in wherever they can on the project because the project's likely over budget. So VE or value engineering comes through oftentimes to a variety of fabricators and they're looking for ideas of reducing cost. And so what we do is evaluate the quality expectation again. Like, are we able to reduce some of those things and or some of the sizes, some of the shapes, some of the features to get the product more in line with budget? So we do work through some of those features to see if we can get it reduced.
Yeah. And usually your customers are pretty open to those ideas, or do projects generally die after end project or value engineering?
It's a mix for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say that every value engineering exercise has a positive result because that's not always the case.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we do the best job we can to try and come up with a solution that falls within the budget. We also, sometimes we get calls from design teams or general contractors that reach out to us because we're able to provide a product that is more affordable. So we have a cost competitive solution that we can bring to the marketplace where other solutions are more expensive than ours.
Speaking on products, cost-effective products, tell us a little about the StellarCraft line and how that kind of incorporates into the architectural division at Astro.
Yeah, it's a product line that was developed out of a need in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we're repeating, coming up frequently over and over again, and there is a desire to create a standard product. Like instead of seeing similar designs come through and then having to coach the design team back through the design to make it fabricatable,
Mm-hmm.
well, why don't we just share something that we know works and we can do cost effectively, and just share that and call it a product.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guardrail, for instance, is now a product such as the Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
because we've had it repeatedly requested, and we provided the engineering work for it to verify that it works. And we have CAD drawings available for it. We have SolidWorks, Revit files.
So within the product line of StellarCraft, what right now are you seeing as the most popular product?
One of the most popular products has got to be some of our screening.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a screening product that can act as a taller like fence,
mm-hmm.
that also provides screening. The screening is comprised of perforated metal,
mm-hmm.
such as the stuff you see behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other use for that product is also on like rooftop units, where if you've got equipment up on your roof and you just need it screened in. A lot of cities require some sort of screening on
mm-hmm.
your rooftops now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another application or use for that product. Another one that just came to mind is if you've got like a fenced park area,
sure,
or amenity space, mm-hmm. where you want some privacy, that's used a lot there too.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can usually go a little bit taller than a traditional fence.
Mm-hmm.
So people trafficking fence is maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. Maybe we've mm-hmm. done screens as tall as 10 feet.
Okay.
So we've got some latitude.
Yeah.
When it comes to those fence.
Okay. So when we're talking about a product line, generally what comes to mind is like, here is a product, you can get it in X quantity. What are the different customization availability within the product line as far as different punch patterns or colors or sizes, things like that?
Yeah, being a custom fab shop, mm-hmm. we have the ability to modify and adjust the products to meet the needs of the client. Mm-hmm. So we've got a full array of like modifications that we can do to support the project. So very, very customizable.
So what have been some of your favorite projects to work on here at Astro?
Oh, you've asked a question that's going to be way too hard for me to answer after 13 years of seeing all kinds of great, cool projects go out the door. That's got to be really, really tough to do. I would say some of the more notable ones in recent time, I guess, have been a lot of the airport work mm-hmm. we've done. It's fun to be able to go through those spaces and be able to identify the work that you've been a part of. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be very rewarding. Yeah. To be a part of something and building out like your local city.
Right.
Other projects that I can think of is like supporting our large corporations. Some of these bigger projects, bigger companies order our products and then being able to see them is fun.
Anything outside of StellarCraft that comes to mind as far as like architecturally? One we talked about with Zach was the 11 project and the complexity of the different things with that project and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you have the opportunity to work on what is a landmark mm-hmm. in any city, it's very rewarding to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. That is a remarkable project. We were able to provide a large amount of rails, and people are going to see that, and it's going to be around for years to come. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an amazing project.
So as you're kind of going through the sales process and working with the marketing team, what are some of your favorite things that you like to work on as far as like decorative elements, guardrails, fencing? Do you have a preference on things that you personally like?
I don't have a preference.
Yeah.
But if I was to have to choose, I guess it would be things that have unique challenges.
Okay.
Something that has a difficulty level that a lot of companies can't solve.
Sure.
And so those are the things that I tend to gravitate towards, where people will run away, I like to run towards.
Yeah.
And so that excites me. Where there's difficult challenges to solve, that's what I like to do.
Okay. Going back to StellarCraft for a moment, talking about the different customizations. So I know that StellarCraft has kind of a select few of, I don't want to say a select few, but a standard set of perforation patterns. What is the process if someone wants something outside of that standard pattern, and can you do cool things like images and logos and stuff like that?
Yeah, as a custom metal perforator, we have the ability to really take any idea you might have and turn it into a reality. There's not much that there's some constraints, but we can really do almost any idea that someone might have. So there's a standard library of perforations that we offer. You can get a request a sample for those, and if you find something or think of something outside of that, we can also produce a sample of that as well.
Okay.
So if someone has an interest, feel free to reach out to our team, and we can get you a sample pretty quickly.
So I know one thing that's important in the architectural side is how things look. Can you talk a little bit about finishes and the different types of finishes, different standards, warranties, things like that?
So we are able to offer painted, powder-coated, anodized, brushed type finishes on our product. So the colors people usually request can vary widely. And fortunately, we are able to provide the majority of those colors. We can get custom colors mixed if needed in both powder and wet application. Anodizing is primarily clear, but we can also get bronze colors as well.
Okay.
And then as far as the quality expectation on the finish, if you go with our AMA standards, which is 2604 is our standard on all of our product line, you can get that up to a 10-year warranty on that finish. And if you have quality expectations above that, we can get AMA 2605. And that finish has a warranty of up to 20 years.
Okay.
So we have very, very long warranties on our finish, and they're very durable. They hold up for a very long time.
So what is kind of the difference between wet paint and powder coating?
Yeah, so the process for the AMA standards is similar. Powder is, as it states, it's not wet. So it's electrostatically charged, and it's distributed into the air and then charged to the base material, which is our part. And then it goes through a heat cure. So then it gets heated up. It's around 400 some degrees, and basically melts onto the material and solidifies, and it becomes completely attached to the base material. Now transitioning to wet paint, it's also AMA 2604 and 2605 availability. That goes through a very similar process than the powder does. The only real difference is that it's in a wet form.
Okay.
It also allows for easier ability to get like custom colors done, because you can custom mix the paint colors quicker, more rapidly than you can powder.
Is there different applications where you would use powder over wet paint, or the other way around?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, so it's pretty universal either or. And what are the different, like, is it cost that people choose one or the other, or lead time, things like that?
Yeah, sometimes lead time does come into play when you're trying to get a unique or custom color. So the wet paint generally is where we want to lean when it comes to that type of color, like if it's unique or something. Powder is usually readily available. Sometimes it's a more affordable option if you can get a standard color.
Okay. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about a big driver, which is cost. The other big driver I feel like with a lot of customers is lead time. What do you feel like is, and I know this varies quite a bit, but kind of a standard lead time of from beginning of the process of quoting all the way to installing and or shipping?
Yeah, so that is a wide range depending upon the project. So it could be as soon as quick as, if it's a small part, it could be couple weeks,
Mhm.
the whole process.
Yeah.
That's very unlikely. That doesn't happen very often. Or it could be as long as like 3 months,
Mhm.
you know, to get something from start to finish. So it really is project dependent.
Sure.
Yep. And how critical it is for the client and what their schedule looks like.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Is there anything that you want the many architects or general contractors that are watching this video to know?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us anytime.
Mhm.
We're available. Take calls, emails. Be happy to work with you on your current or next project that you got coming up.
Great. So I like to close with, what's your favorite part about working at Astro?
I would say the team and the challenges. So working here is a good culture to be in, and then also being open to all the unique challenges that we get to face.
Yeah.
And solving those challenges. So
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with us, Chris.
thank you.
If you have an architectural project and you are looking for some fabrication, you most likely are going to be talking to Chris. So feel free to reach out via phone or email, and we look forward to talking to you. Thanks so much.